Karen Bonifilio, Outer Realms, Inner Journeys. I have a wonderful guest for you today. This is Kim Lawler. Kim, would you like to say hello? Yeah, well, I met her at a fair in Portland a few months ago, and we have been playing hit and miss trying to connect because she's extremely busy in her life. So we're really fortunate that she was able to fit us in. So let me tell you a little bit about her. Her spiritual journey began in childhood, but traditional religion never fully resonated with her. Were you raised in the church, Kim?
We were Catholic, yeah.
Oh, Catholic at that. Okay. Now, I'm not insulting any Catholics, please.
No.
After 30 years as a nurse, she awakened her ability to connect with the spiritual realm and the conscious universe. Embracing these practices brought her peace and joy, easing anxiety and helplessness that she had during some turbulent times. She shares the wisdom to help others feel their own light within her as she's written a book. And the book is called As We Sage, A Woman's Guide to Reclaiming Spirit, Wisdom, Joy, and Magic. Oh, keep it there. And Beyond Midlife in Turbulent Times. And I love the colors and everything you chose. Is that you walking by any chance?
Believe it or not, no, and I didn't even realize it kind of looks like me from the back, but
it does. Yeah. It does. It does. Well, let's talk about your journey first, and then let's talk about your book. So you were raised in the Catholic religion. You kind of didn't embrace that. And then you became a nurse for 30 years.
Yeah.
You don't look that old. For 30 years. Oh, well, that's good. We like those good genes.
Yeah.
So how did you discover your abilities? Because that's a long wait.
Yeah. Well, I'd always been a little witchy, a little, spiritual, that sort of thing, over the years. And honestly, I had come to a point where I was calling myself an atheist. And this was during the change of administrations in 2016. And then, the pandemic happened and all this. And I was anxious and depressed and all kinds of things were going on. I felt very helpless. And then I was looking at this photo of my family, and my brother was missing from the picture. And my mom and my brother have both passed. And so I started talking to them, and I just felt them. And I knew they were there. And it was just like this feeling like love, except different, right? And so I decided to contact a medium. And she told me, yes, this is happening. You felt them, blah, blah, blah. And then she sent me an invitation to some classes to develop psychic and mediumship skills. And I thought, well, I got nothing else going on because I'm retired and, basically most things were shut down, etc. So I started doing this, and I was like, oh my God, the dead, And so then I started practicing more and more and joining more classes. And then I started meditating a lot, and I'd get these epiphanies, and I was like, wow, this is so cool. And so then I realized I had to share what I learned. And that's why I wrote the book.
You make it sound so easy. You do. And sometimes it's not, but gosh, Kudos to you.
Thank you.
And to start with a photograph and know that your brother and your mom were there too. Because sometimes people doubt that. Did I really connect? Did I really feel them? And so that's very cool. So you took classes, and then how did you fine tune and start? Do you have sessions with people? Can people book with you too?
Yes.
Okay. So tell us about that.
Well, I actually took classes one on one with the medium who helped me. And she suggested that I do start a website. And I was just kind of like, I'm retired. I really don't want to do this. I kind of went in kicking and screaming. And then I did it. And I thought, and then I started getting some clients, and I was, it was just like, oh my God, this is happening. Um, and
Wow.
yeah, yeah. And at first, a lot of my clients were free because I wanted to make sure I was getting the experience. So I was putting it out on Nextdoor and Buy Nothing, and having friends do it, that sort of thing, and practicing with other students who were learning this stuff. Um, and like I said, then it just kind of snowballed into having a website and having a full fledged business and doing fairs, like where you met me.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That is so cool. So you have all your team members working in the background, pushing you forward and opening all those doors because that's what was supposed to happen with you.
Yeah, yeah. And I've really embraced that idea too, because angels I've kind of gone off and on with angels in my life, and right now I am on, and I don't intend to ever jump off the angel train again, because they are so helpful with so many things, and I'm just amazed at how simple it is to ask for stuff sometimes. And I mean, like as simple, like, I'm going to give you an example. The other day I lost my daughter's apartment key, and I was like, okay, I think I know where it is, and I went and looked and it wasn't there. And so I said, okay, Archangel Zadkiel, just help me out. And so I went and took a walk. I came back and I walked right to the key. I mean, this is how this things, yeah, it's amazing when that happens. And so I always, I'm just like, thank you, because just being grateful is a big part of accepting the help.
And they want to help too.
Yes.
Now, do you have specific angels that you always talk with?
Yes, every single night I ask Archangel Michael to clear my energy and to protect. Um, I often, if I'm in the forest walking or just taking a walk, I'll talk to Archangel Ariel, or when I was in my garden working, because I'm a gardener.
Mhm.
Um, right before we started today, I asked Archangel Gabriel to give me the right words, because sometimes I trip over words and things. So thank you, Archangel Gabriel, for helping me
Well,
right
you're
now.
doing great.
Thank you. Yeah, and there's on and on. There's different, and my own guardian angels.
Yes.
My guardian is always with me.
Yes. Yeah. I also talk to my angels I do every morning, and among other things too, but definitely the angels. I love it. And I just love knowing that they're listening and trying to help, uh, and they care about us and want us to do well.
Yes,
Yeah. Okay, so let's say you're getting ready to do a reading. How do you prepare yourself for that?
I meditate first,
Hmm.
and generally I do a meditation called sitting in the power, and it's where you're having your soul come out. You're encouraging your soul to like become a bigger energy, and then you blend with spirit. Um, and then I say a
Oh,
prayer ahead of time, and and it depends if I'm doing a psychic reading or a mediumship. But if I know I don't know what I'm going to do yet, like I've got a client, because I try not to ask my clients, way ahead of time what they want. I just ask them when they come in, so that I know I'm clear of any preconceived notions, right? Um, and so then I will ask either the angels if I'm doing a card reading, or generally it's my spirit guides. And have a little gatekeeper in there that I try and ask to help keep out spirits I don't need in there right at the moment. Like sometimes, let's say mom and dad are both passed. Sometimes they want to come in together and it's hard to distinguish. So it's like, okay, gatekeeper, please allow only one person at a time.
yeah, just wait your turn.
Yes, exactly.
Oh. And can people get both psychic and mediumship readings from you too?
Yes, if they sign up for 45 minutes, I'll generally do an hour, and an hour is is long enough time to usually get, both of those things done.
Yeah, because for myself personally, I like both. And I know I have people on the other side that want to be heard, but I also want advice too. So I like the psychic part of it, so that's very cool. Oh my goodness. Oh, and do you do this on Zoom or something so people can do that? Or is it phone call or how do you do that?
I've done phone calls for people who really don't want to do Zoom. And I've actually met at a library for people who really want in person because I don't have an office. And
Wow.
and that's, there's enough quiet rooms at the library where, we can sit down and do that. And that's been real helpful for people who really, really want it in person.
That's a great idea. That's a really good idea. I never thought about that, but it's a great idea.
Keeps
Yeah,
that
very.
down.
I like the in person, but then I do Zoom also, so it's fine either way. Whatever kind of the psychic medium wants their best format. Yeah. Okay, so how do you differentiate between your thoughts and the messages that you're receiving?
Well, that's a good question because in the beginning there was a lot of doubt. Did I just where is that coming from? But when I'm doing it, it's like they'll become something that I wouldn't know about this person. And so what I've learned is to say whatever comes out. Just whatever comes in, just say it. Sometimes it's wrong because I might be interpreting it wrong, right? Because it's
Yes.
kind of like charades or any other word game. Trying to get these pictures, you can understand what the pictures mean because that's how
Yeah.
I mostly get it is in pictures. Sometimes it's words that just kind of come in
Oh,
and I just know. Um, but it's like, well, this is so now I started saying, well, this is what I'm seeing. And so if the person might understand it better than I do because it might be something that really relates to them. Um, let's see, I'm trying to think of a good example. There was cars came in and I was speaking to someone's dad who had passed. And I said, there's something about cars. And she was actually this woman and her mother were both there and they started laughing because he worked on cars. He worked at a car dealership. I mean, everything was about cars.
oh,
So it was like, okay, that was a pretty obvious one, but I didn't know that cars meant
no.
all of that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's really nice. And you'll do more than one person in a reading too.
Yeah.
Okay, fabulous. That's really fabulous. Very, very cool. Do you come across skeptical people?
Yes. And I'm trying to think. Most of the people who I've spoken with, though, are not skeptical because if they're going to pay money, they want to know. So I'm going to say the people who I worked with free, there were a couple skeptics who did it, more or less for fun.
Uh-huh.
And I had a couple things. Of course, it's hard to change a skeptic's mind sometimes. So I don't either they believe it or they don't. I mean,
Yeah.
my husband happens to be one of those skeptics, and I've kind of presented a few things to him, and he's like, "Yeah, whatever." So
Are you kidding?
no,
I'm shocked that he's like that. Well, at least he supports you. So
yes,
that's good.
yes, he
Yeah.
does. That's right.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm figuring if I'm going to pay something, I'm not going to be a skeptic. I mean, I'm not
Right.
going to try to call somebody out. I want to find out information. Yeah. But you
Exactly.
never know.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about a real memorable experience that you have done with a client?
Yeah. So this was actually a person who was also practicing, and I love working with them too because it's fun, right? And I said,
Hmm.
there is something about a rodeo. And and then a clown came in and I was like, and there was a lot of laughing. And so at the end, he told me, and it was a woman who was telling me this stuff. And at
Oh,
the
okay.
end, he told me, he said, that was my mother-in-law. I went to the rodeo with her and my father-in-law. And my father-in-law got the rodeo clown did something to him, and everybody was laughing, and I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, I there's no way,
No,
that
no.
information is just like how.
Yeah.
To me, it's amazing that we get
Yeah.
that.
You're not making it up.
No, no,
Yeah. Who would even think of that?
I know.
That's really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I've never had my mother-in-law come in. I think my parents and my husband are pretty forceful that they're not going to allow too many people to infringe on their time with me.
Oh,
So,
there you go.
yeah, that is a great story, Kim. It really is.
Yeah.
Um, Sometimes this type of work, you're saying things and it's hard for people to receive also, especially when they're connecting with a loved one. Does it take a toll on you emotionally?
Yes. And I'm going to tell you, this today happens to be the 19th anniversary of my brother, the one who passed his suicide. And when I have had clients that I just knew that their loved one had passed by suicide, and they didn't tell me this, I bring it out and they say yes, and when those things are done, I've got a little bit of chills at the moment right now. So I feel like my brother is here.
And your brother,
He's here yeah.
he's there. Yeah.
Um, and those things, when they happen, it does take a little bit, afterward. I have had a little bit of tears after that sort of thing.
Yes.
And particularly when someone, they're crying, but it's often good tears too, because they wanted to know what was going on. And there was like one incident where the the um the past loved one who had come through, he said he effed up, is what he said. He didn't mean to kill himself. It was an accident, and they
Oh,
all
really?
purposefully had. And she said, I knew it. I knew it. He didn't do that on purpose. And and so that was like, ooh, kind of, because it gave her good information.
Mhm.
And just the way it came through, it was just like, man, he just did not mean to do that.
I
And
bet that was so comforting for her.
yeah, yeah,
Really comforting.
right.
As you're talking, we have gone back and forth. Let's do this day. Let's do this day. Can't do that day. I wonder if your brother was instrumental in having it happen today.
Oh, well, that could be. I really
I
could.
don't know. And I mean, they work in mysterious ways.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
then he's here with you now too.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you can tell that story. So somebody needs to hear that in the audience. They might have, I know a few people that have lost a child through suicide. And boy, as a parent, that would be really hard,
Yes.
really hard. So I hope somebody hears that, I hope whoever hears that needs to hear that so she can connect you with your loved one. And what's your brother's name?
Jeff.
Jeff, thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
Appreciate it so much. Okay. So, we all have these talents. We all don't use them. Do you have any advice for anyone who wants to start a spirituality journey and do the same thing you're doing?
Yes. I would say first, well, and not necessarily first, but if you have a loved one you want to connect with, talk with them. They will hear you. Ask for signs. They will give you
Yes.
signs.
Yes.
And sometimes it is absolutely subtle, and other times it is like this, it's there,
Hmm.
right? Um, and because they are listening. And the other thing I would say is, if you pray or meditate, continue to do that, because the closer your connection to the source, the
Yes.
closer your connection to other spirits as well, and your own soul. The more you talk with your own soul, you might have an inner dialogue, and I truly believe that's our ego talking with our soul and trying to figure out what's what. And so if we do this purposefully, we can oftentimes work things out in our own dialogues, because you do really do. I mean, the little devil and the angel. It's more to me an ego and a soul, and
Yeah.
you get answers this way. And it again could be in signs later too, or a path will open. The synchronicities that occur.
Like yours.
Yes. Yes.
Like yours.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
100%.
I want to piggyback on what you just said. I, well, I've been into the metaphysical since my 20s, but I always encourage people to write a list of the signs and everything, because you forget.
Yeah.
You forget that, oh yeah, I got contacted this way. And any spiritual connection, I always say, just keep track of that so you remember, because it's comforting to know that they're reaching out to you and letting you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree with that, and I do that. I write my book of successes, because if you start feeling that self-doubt, go back and read your successes, and you'll be like, how did that happen? Unless it really was happening.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And I think it's so usual for people to doubt themselves. Did I really hear that? Was that, am I making that up? And just to have the trust. Yeah, just to have the trust. This is kind of interesting. I'm going to ask you this because of your upbringing, even though you didn't really embrace that part of you. But how do you balance your personal beliefs with those of your clients that come from a different spiritual, religious backgrounds?
Well, I'll tell you that I feel like source is going to be source no matter what. How you
Yes.
get there doesn't really matter. If it
Mhm.
is the way that works for you, then that's the way that you should do it. If it's not working for you, then maybe you might want to see other things. And I feel like people come to this realization in in a lot of different ways, and they may not come to it until they're an adult. Particularly, I feel like women, because we're kind of trained to follow more than lead often. And
Yes.
so they may have just always been doing this because that's what they grew up with. And so they might like, oh gosh, I really don't believe in this anymore. So why are you doing it? What do you believe? What does work for you? What resonates?
Mhm.
And if what you're doing with how you've grown up works for you, then keep on with it. I mean,
Embrace it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
This has not happened to me, but do you, and I don't mean to negate if it's happened to anyone else, do you ever have dark energies that try to enter?
Well, I was going to say no right off the bat, but I did have this one thing where I was having a Reiki session when I was feeling particularly uh, tired and vulnerable, I guess, and it was just feeling weird. And so I told my Reiki person, and she totally shut things down at that moment. But this is one reason why every night I just tell Michael, please just clear anything. And when I talk to my mentor about this sort of thing, it's like, if you're always keeping your energy clean and you
Yes.
aren't trying to dabble in, this is what I will not allow: a Ouija board in my home. I will not. My kids have tried. We did this a long time ago, and weird stuff happens.
We did.
Yeah. So it's like,
Mhm.
ever do not do that in my home, um, because I don't want anything weird to come. But if you keep your energy clean and you keep you keep your connection to source and things,
Right.
I believe what the people who I've learned under have told me, that you're okay, you're solid. But I still ask for that protection from Archangel Michael anyway, just to keep it all on the up and up.
I do that every day. And I also do what you do. I ask him to cut the cords.
Yes.
Yeah. If you don't know about angels, there's some great books out there too. because they are so wonderful for help. Yeah, just they're lovely, just absolutely lovely.
I have a, oh, go ahead. I was just going to say
No,
I
go
have
ahead.
stories too. Uh,
I love stories.
well, my daughter, whose name happens, her nickname is Angel. It's Angelina, but her nickname is Angel. When she was
Oh,
3 years old, we were all in a pool, my three daughters and I. She was sitting on the stairs because she didn't want to be held by me anymore. And I told her, I said, if you need help, come, holler at me. And I was like, maybe 10 to 15 feet away from her. I said,
okay.
so let me know. So I'm talking across the pool to my other daughters. All of a sudden, I just kind of like a robot go over and I pick up Angel, who's now floating in the water. And unbeknownst to me, she had walked off the stairs. I picked her up. She was already modeled. I mean, children can drown in seconds. And I don't know what made me do that. I'm certain it was either my guardian or her guardian angel. And so I always thought she's very appropriately named
She
now.
is.
And then when she was 12, I saved her life again in much the same way.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
I was in my office in my home. She was in her bedroom across the hall. Something made me get up. I got up. She was coming out of her bedroom and she was doing this. I turned
Oh
her around,
no.
did the abdominal thrust,
Heimlich.
Heimlich. Yeah. Out pops this big thing of wax.
Wow.
And yeah, you remember those wax
Oh,
lips?
wax lips.
Yeah, I haven't seen them for a long time, so maybe it's because kids choked on them. But
Probably.
yeah, but that popped out. And my other daughter was sitting on a couch at the time, and she looked up like, did that just happen? Because it was just like do do do, like
Yeah.
streamlined.
Oh
And
my gosh.
yeah. So I can only attribute that to something else, right? I mean, it
Oh
wasn't
yeah.
me doing it. So yeah,
Oh,
so those
that's
are
just
I do say it was angels.
oh wow, that is fabulous. And your granddaughter has experienced all of this. So I think she may carry the tradition with you. Yeah.
Yes.
Because there's something more to this than what meets the eye.
Yeah.
Okay, before we talk about your book, I have a question that I ask that I try to remember to ask everybody on my show. It's not a trick question. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but let me read this to you, okay? Because and this was from another psychic medium. Um, what is it that you feel out of all your gifts do you think is the most important to you? How can you be of service for spirit and help your client the best?
I feel like my connection to angels is just because I have had clients who I've introduced to using angels and who have literally been helped within hours because of it.
Wow.
Um, yeah, and I mean, I really, really believe that they are here to help, like you said earlier, and they're like our personal superheroes, and
Yeah.
I really just can't say enough about. And in fact, I want to write a book about them next. That's what they told me to do. So I get time. That's the
It's
next
good
thing.
you listened.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that's probably really the strongest thing. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's nice to know that you're connecting with that higher realm too, and your soul, your higher self also. So
Yeah.
that's perfect. All right, let's talk about your book. Let's
Okay.
see it again.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, and we'll list that down below so people can check that out.
Okay.
Um, tell us about it.
So as I told you earlier, I had about 10 years ago was really in a bad place, thinking I was an atheist, etc. And when I reconnected, when I reclaimed spirit and started doing the meditating and everything, I realized that my anxiety was reducing, my depression went away. And I started finding meditations that were actually even good for our cognition. Um,
Oh,
and yeah, and I started researching how does this help? And it's amazing what meditation can do. Um, and so I was meditating, and I kind of got this epiphany to do this. It's like, well, as a nurse for a long time, teaching is a big part of being a nurse, and
yes.
training people to do things to help themselves, right?
Hmm.
Um, and so I really just had this strong pull to write this book. And so it took me a little bit to get it toned down to who it was I was really talking to. And I feel like there's a lot of women, our ages in within these kinds of places with spirituality. They're coming back to their spirituality. They're, you know, they're in a place where suddenly they might be an empty nester, they might be a widow, they might have lost a job, they may have ended a career after, retired after however many years. A lot of
Hmm.
things change at around this age, right? And so, how can we continue finding our purpose? We don't want to just sit in the, because I was finding myself gardening and doing all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, now I'm bored. What can I do? I need purpose, right? I needed something that meant something. And
Yes, I
so,
understand that.
yeah, so I was like, I want to help other women know how to find their purpose too and find magic. I mean, I feel like I've lived a magical life. I mean, I'm no different than anybody else in all the trials and tribulations because I've certainly had a lot of those as well. But I've come out on the other side thinking, okay, this is the lesson I learned out of that. So it's taking your perspective of what has happened to you and turning it into something that you can use to propel you forward to that purpose. um, and that's, if you talk with people who just have such this bad outlook on life now, they're jaded, and they're mad at the world, they've got hate in their heart, whatever. To be able to turn that around so that you find that love within you again, because it
Yeah.
feels so much better than having hate in your heart. um,
Yeah, and who wants to poison themselves? That's really good.
yeah.
And I think as people like retire and stuff, you lose your identity all of a sudden. You're not a nurse anymore. I'm not a teacher anymore. I'm a former teacher,
Yeah.
and I do understand that because all of a sudden you can focus on yourself, and the kids are grown, and you can really find out in depth about yourself and what makes you tick.
Yeah.
Would that be correct in saying?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I've got, it's a guide that has exercises you can do to help bring out your soul, to teach you to speak with your soul and how to connect, and meditations if you have had a hard time meditating in the past. There's tips and tricks of how to do it, and I have meditations on my website that are free for people to go and to when you're just starting to learn how to meditate. um, and all those things help guide you back to you. But also, I feel like, our soul is here for a purpose, so why not finish, strong? Get out
Hmm.
there and do the work that your soul wanted you to do in the first place. Get it done before you're lying on your death and saying, God, I wish I had done this, right? Do it.
Yes.
Do it.
We don't want to have regrets when we die.
Right.
Gosh, I don't know if this is correct. Is kind of like a spiritual self-help book.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
Now, can we is Amazon the best place, or is it offered in other areas where we can get it?
Amazon. It's on Kindle and paperback, as and audio will be coming out. I don't know when that will happen, but it will be an audiobook eventually. You can also go to balboapress.com, barnesandnoble.com.
Okay, so it's in major book outlets too.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so I know that some people are boycotting Amazon right now.
Yeah,
So I wanted to find some other avenues that they could get that book too.
I totally understand that. Yeah.
Um, is there any more you would like to share about your book? How or how it's impacted people, or tips, or anything you want to share about it? It sounds like a really good book, really good self-help book.
Yeah, I always kind of hesitate to say this part about it, but I feel like it's an important aspect. It's because of it was the political atmosphere that drove me to how I got where I was. And I feel like, there are a lot of people, women, spiritual people who don't vote. And if I could say one thing, it is vote. Vote. We're put on this earth to live our lives. And I know a lot of people say, well, I'm not into politics. Well, but you still live it. Whether you're into it or not, it still affects you. And it affects other people. So to vote. That's that's like I say that is an important part of being a human in our country because we have a democracy.
Yes. And I agree with you so much. And I know those people that don't vote. I want to shake them. How can you not vote? I always vote ever since I was able to. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Or I don't do politics. I had someone tell me that, and I thought, you have a gay son and you have a daughter. You need to do politics. And we aren't going to talk politics, you guys. But
Right.
yeah. But if I'm sure she'll talk to you about politics if you contact her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was a life-saving book that you wrote during 2016 then. So that's good. That's a really good self-help book because I know that year my soul was crushed. It was crushed. And I turned more spiritual during that time because I needed to know answers like, why is this happening? What's going on? So that's the end of the political one. Okay, my friend, is there anything else you would like to mention? I think you would be a delightful person to schedule with. I think you're so personable, and your book sounds really good too.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think so.
Well, and people flounder, and that's a nice. Oh, here's a resource, and we got steps to get you where you want to be, and we got steps to help you find out about yourself, and so you're gonna get enlightened and at the same time, and
Right.
healed in a lot of different things.
Yeah. I do spiritual life coaching that
Oh,
goes hand in
tell
hand.
us about that.
Well,
Tell us about that, Kim.
yeah, I use a lot of the same information that I put in my book, honestly. Spiritual life coaching is basically if let's say you are a person who doesn't really have a specific religion, so you don't have a clergy person to go to, and you want to do better, you want to be able to connect, you want to be able to meditate,
Oh,
all that kind of stuff. It's just a help, kind of guiding you into how to connect in all the ways, basically
oh,
realizing that
that's
we all.
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Okay, do you have anything else I don't know about you that you should share?
But I don't know that.
I don't know. Yeah, that's really good too.
Thank you.
So, you got a book, you're a psychic, you're a medium, and you do spiritual life coaching.
Yes.
Wow. Got the whole bundle going on there, don't you? It's really wonderful.
Thank you.
Okay. Um, the links to her and her website and her book are down below, so please take advantage of that. And Kim, are you sure I covered everything you wanted to talk about?
I think so. Well, I guess I'll say one more thing, that if you are looking for something to be able to do today that just helps you in so many ways, is go take a walk outside, look at the flowers, look at the things that are awesome, and remember that we really are living in an awesome world. And awe is all around you. All you have to do is look, and it will brighten your day.
Perfect. 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 And I do that every day. Well, 5 days a week. I take my dogs out and I walk. And you got to be well, that's when I do my prayers and my spiritual work, but you
Yes.
have to be in the moment too, not in your head. Yeah, be in the moment and appreciate where you are and what you're doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Present moment.
Okay. Any other tips to give our audience?
If you haven't tried meditating, or if you've given it up because you couldn't do it, try again. It's so worth it.
Okay. Now, you have some meditations on your website that people can access?
I do. Yes.
Okay.
There's
I'm
like,
going to I'm going to be checking those out.
good.
Yeah, I try. I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is hard to get into. I had a really hard time doing that in the beginning. Um, and I had to just, you have to let yourself know that it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to
Oh,
be.
that's good.
Yeah. If
Yeah.
you start getting thoughts in your mind, it's okay. Just start, just do it. Just take a deep breath and continue.
Until you can finally train your mind.
Right. And
Okay.
eventually it wants to do it. I mean, I have to meditate now. Like,
For your
okay, I'm
sanity.
meditating already.
I want to get to that point. Okay, I'm going to check out your website. Well, Kim, it's been a delight. I thank you very much for coming on. And thank you. I'm just glad we finally got to connect.
Thank you so much for asking me on, Karen. I really appreciate it.
I'm so glad I met you a few months ago.
Me too.
Okay, thank you.